This is WKYT News at 6:30 on the CW Lexington.
Good evening, I'm Sam Dick.
And I'm Jennifer Palumbo. We have a lot to get to tonight. One of the stories that have a lot of people talking, creepy clown sightings.
This is odd, don't you think?
Yes.
I mean, it really is. People are taking this different ways, but trending right now, creepy clown sightings in Kentucky. Police in Pulaski County have received a complaint about 3 people in clown costumes, along with several sightings in the Greenville area.
That story is the most clicked on right now on WKYT.com. Also, that's followed by the missing toddler found safe last night in Casey County and an unarmed black man shot to death by police in Oklahoma. Here's what we're following right now at 6:30. U.S. Attorney General Loretta Lynch is in the Bluegrass State for her Heroin Awareness Week tour. WKYT's Miranda Combs is live at the University of Kentucky with what Lynch had to say.
He wore his vest after dark. He done everything by the book.
A tow truck driver losing his life after being hit on the side of the road. Now his family left in mourning after that tragic crash.
Race for the Cure Lexington is right around the corner. We'll take a look at how preparations are coming for the big race.
You know, that's an event that Amber and I are involved with as MCs. It's a really special morning because the survivors come out. People have been battling breast cancer, men and women, but mostly women, of course. And it's really something to see them there as a group, rallying together against a devastating disease.
It's really emotional. It's also a chance to honor the loved ones that we have lost to the disease as well.
True. Very true. Welcome, my friend.
Good to be here. Good to be here. I bring the heat with me.
Yes, you
as
do.
Always.
It's still here.
It is still here.
Now, I don't know if you've been listening, Jennifer. He's been catching some grief from those of us on the anchor desk for his boring forecast.
It is
Yes.
boring.
You said boring.
Yes.
It's the same old, same old. That's why I've got to put that extra spice into the forecast. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And I'm looking more toward next week because the next few days, guys, it's pretty much the same old, same old. Yeah, next week we'll change it up a little bit. But as of right now, we don't have a whole lot to talk about across central and eastern Kentucky. Beautiful sky showing up into Jackson. Beautiful sky showing up right on top of the Mountain Parkway corridor as well. And live look in Lexington. Blue skies are out there as well across central and eastern Kentucky. And as we look ahead for the evening, it's a warm one out there. Temperatures will drop from upper 70s to around 80 at 7 o'clock. So if you're out for a walk this evening before sundown, it's still a little on the toasty side. Look at that, upper 60s though by 11. Absolutely nothing showing up on your Defender radar network. Warm high pressure, the name of the weather game. That's keeping it boring for the next few days. We'll try to spice it up a little bit. 7-day forecast a little later on.
The nation's top law enforcement official brings the war on drugs to Kentucky.
U.S. Attorney General Loretta Lynch spent the day in Richmond and Lexington talking with young people and families about drug use in their communities.
In 2014, Kentucky had the 3rd highest rate of overdose deaths in the country. We were behind only West Virginia and New Hampshire, prompting the Attorney General's visit.
WKYT's Miranda Combs has our top story at 6:30.
But here in Kentucky, you have experienced the ravages of the heroin and opioid epidemic with particular viciousness. It has hit hard here.
The country's top law enforcement official talked to a room full of UK professionals and local leaders at UK's College of Pharmacy to wrap up her day in central Kentucky. It started early this morning in Madison County, a county hit hard by heroin. She addressed students at Madison Central High School. 600 students filled an auditorium. The lesson: to watch out for your peers.
But we also want to make sure that you've got the knowledge and the information not to go down that road in the first place.
The biggest way for us to fix this is on a small scale problem, or is on a small scale for students to help fellow students along the process.
Now it's time to break down the news.
Our Miranda Combs joins us live now from UK campus with more on the Attorney General's visit. And Miranda, really significant that the Attorney General of the United States chose of all places to come to Kentucky, but we have a big heroin problem in this state.
We do. You know, this is very unusual. Eric Holder, there were no visits from him except a short visit, I think, to the U.S. Attorney's office toward the end of his office at that time. But this is very unusual, Sam, and it's been a long day from her. Let's see, it started at Madison Central High School around 8 o'clock this morning. She talked to hundreds of students there. She then addressed the media, and we had a chance to ask our own questions at a media conference following that. And then she headed and talked to families who have lost people to overdose in a private meeting, and then she came here to UK to the College of Pharmacy to talk to more leaders and more professionals about the opioid epidemic. So it has been a full day. She flew out around 5 o'clock. Following that, there was even a panel discussion here to talk about what her comments were during her time here at UK. So very full day, a lot of interactions going on. And you know, this is something that our investigations team has been covering for a very long time, for a couple of years, from everything from family situations to the actual issues surrounding this. Now, especially hit hard by heroin's resurgence has been Northern Kentucky, Louisville, and Lexington. Why this resurgence? Well, the reformulation of two widely abused prescription pain drugs, Oxycontin and Opana, making them harder to crush and snort. Heroin is cheaper and easier to buy. An 80-milligram Oxycontin pill runs between $60 to $100 on the street, but you can get heroin for $9 a dose. And that's what brought the Attorney General here today, and why the government is taking aim about drug addiction this week. Now, here are some of the ways the government plans to combat overdose deaths. Many of the recent overdoses and deaths in Kentucky and surrounding states have been attributed to synthetic opioids like fentanyl, which we've done a lot of stories on, which mainly comes from China. So those two countries plan to work together to stop the flow. Also a part of this plan is to expand access to treatment. Doctors treating patients with one kind of addiction-fighting drug would be able to treat 275 patients rather than just 100, and that's a discussion that's been in the pipeline for some time. To engage healthcare professionals, more than 540,000 healthcare providers would get training on appropriate opioid prescribing in 2 years. So a lot going on, a lot of discussion started, and moving forward from here, a lot of opportunities for a lot of new changes. We're live at the University of Kentucky. Miranda Combs, WKYT.
Thank you, Miranda. And you can find out more on the Attorney General's visit. Just go to WKYT.com.
All right, time now for the Sports Buzz.
Every night we talk to Dave Buzz Baker for an inside look at what's going on. And some breaking football news. We're finding out that JoJo Kemp is going to be okay.
JoJo Kemp is going to be back. That'll certainly help in the backfield, especially when you get that whole combination going. But what about Drew Barker? And I want to go back to this thing. We'll see this video of what happened this weekend. The question is, it sounds like one of those presidential things. What happened, and when did somebody know it happened? Because Mark Stoops said it was lingering through. Look at this. Now look at this. He can't put any weight on that leg. Now, unless it's a leg, that indicates like a nerve thing. And if that's the deal with the back, then that's a bad thing. And that's why he's going to see that specialist tomorrow. So the question is, you know, just how long is this lingering? Did they see this coming? I mean, it's really weird. And if you're the quarterback for Kentucky, why does it take 4 days to get you into the specialist?
And for one half against Southern Mississippi, the back probably didn't hurt him, right? Because he had a great game.
Jennifer's too young to know this, but guys like you and I, you know, if you got a back, you just tweak it and all of a sudden it's gone, and then you wake up the next morning and it's really good. So who knows? But it'll be really interesting to see what happens tomorrow. All right, now the Cats will look to make it 2 in a row. They take on South Carolina as they visit Commonwealth Stadium. 7:30 kickoff in the SEC Network. Started out as a pick'em game. Kentucky now about a 2.5-point favorite. Now, some folks hate to do this. They say it's not basketball season. Don't talk basketball.
I know, but this is something UK fans are so excited about. They're ready.
All right, you can get those tickets for Big Blue Madness. It's going to take place on October 15th, September 30th at 10 o'clock is when you can get the tickets. You can start lining up next week. Is that right,
You can line up at the 28th at 5 a.m. Don't go any sooner. That's what UK wants us to tell you.
That's exactly right. And go to the website, ukathletics.com, and you can see all the changes they've got in terms of parking and all that stuff. If you don't want to go over there and get involved in it, you know, we're going to do that pre-madness special.
Yes, that'll be great.
Next Thursday night from 7 to 10, Christy and I are going to be over there camping out. You guys should come camp out.
Oh, yeah.
After we just tell people don't camp out.
Well, you guys could come camp out.
We'll be watching. We'll be watching you on TV.
We could get like the stove going or something. Wouldn't that be fun? Let's see. Scott Strickland, speaking of former Wildcats. Yep. Remember when he was the SID here? He was Tubby's sports information guy. He went on to be the AD at Mississippi State. Today, reports are that Florida is targeting him to succeed Jeremy Foley, one of the most powerful athletics directors in the country. Scott's mom, of course, is from down in Paintsville, Kentucky. He made about $450,000 last year at Mississippi State. If he takes the Florida job, it'll be between $1 and $1.4 million a year. He's a great AD, and he is a really, really good dude.
And that would open up a good job at Mississippi State as athletics director.
Absolutely, especially after what he's done with it and everything that he's done with the facilities and with the programs down there. And we talked about Tim Tebow on Friday. You know, okay, he's in camp. Probably the most famous minor league baseball player since Michael Jordan. He showed up at the Mets camp in Port St. Lucie, Florida yesterday. The Michael Jordan deal, okay? Now, Amber will remember this. A guy that played on the Birmingham Barons with Jordan was a kid named Chris Snopek from Cynthiana. Oh, yeah. And one time he took somebody down there to meet Jordan, and he said, Snopek, if you bring one more blank blank from Kentucky here, you're out. And Michael Jordan bought that bus for the Birmingham Barons to drive around to their minor league games, and they've still got the bus that Michael Jordan bought him.
Do you think Tebow will make it?
I don't know. I mean, I'm glad he's done. I really think he's doing it because he thinks he can do it.
Yeah. Yep.
But, I mean, wouldn't it be nice to be that young? And I mean,
He has lots of options.
You're a triathlete. Wouldn't it be nice to be that young and just be able to work out all the time and still make money?
Yeah, I got to work here.
Okay. All right.
Pay those bills.
All right. Adios.
Thank you, Buzz.
Hello, Facebook. It's Sam and Chris getting ready for the rest of the 6:30 to answer your questions on Facebook.
Sam's already here. I'm just getting in.
Come on over here, Chris. All right, so we want people at home, people who are watching us, people who are not watching us, whatever, to put your questions into Facebook. Is it Facebook Live, Pope?
Yeah.
Okay. For Chris, about what's coming with the snow.
Yeah, if you want to get specific on where you are, we'll try to answer that. And if you just want to know overall timing on the snows, we'll try to answer that too. We're actually in a commercial break right now.
Oh, I'm glad you mentioned that.
On our CW Lexington, that's what we're actually on now. We have a new show, 6:30. Been a few months on that one. We're getting ready to come back live on that. And we're going to be live with you guys on Facebook and then with the viewers on the CW.
So if you ever want to ask a question, now's the time. Are we going to be live at CW next?
And we're coming back on air right now.
Welcome back to WKYT News, live here at 6:30 in the CW Lexington. Road crews in southern Kentucky were busy preparing for the snow that's coming. Road crews in that part of the state getting ready for it. In Whitley County, the Salt Dome is full, and the county's fleet of 5 trucks have all their salt equipment installed. They're ready to go. All they're waiting on is for that wintry weather to arrive.
Long hours, and you're running on a small crew, so you got to stay with it till you get everybody before they can travel the roads.
All right, to help us break down the news, Chief Meteorologist Chris Bailey joins me. All right, we got some questions for you.
We're actually doing something cool for our viewing audience. We're live on Facebook at this same exact time. Sam's got Facebook Live up, and he's going to start asking me questions that folks on Facebook are wanting to know.
McKinnon wants to know how bad you think it will stick between Bath and Montgomery County.
You know
so
what?
People get really specific with this stuff.
They do, and I've got that area of the state, Sam, in a general 2 to 4 inch snowfall. Right along Interstate 64, it could be a little heavier burst of some snow that works from west to east on top of 64, from Lexington all the way to Ashland. So at least a couple of inches, I think, there into the Bath and Montgomery County areas.
Greg says, how much in Hazard?
How much in Hazard? Farther, it's a little tricky once we get into southern parts of the state. You get into Hazard, I've got you in a 1 to 3 inch right now, but just off to your west, a little lower total, and just off to your east, a little higher total. Nowhere across the region is this going to be a shutdown storm, but I could see Hazard picking up on a good couple of inches before this is over.
Teresa says, what is the start time for northern Kentucky?
Northern Kentucky, you'll get in on that northern Kentucky before daybreak. You'll be the first areas of the state to actually see the snow. Louisville up to Covington, far northern Kentucky will likely get in on that before daybreak. Then it sinks southeast throughout the day.
Yvonne says, hello from London. Thank you for live updates. Great job.
Hey, London.
James says, I drive a tow truck. What's the best time frame to start in Lexington?
Oh, my goodness.
In other words, I guess he's wondering when he's going to have to start helping people.
When he's going to have to help some people out. They pre-treated the roads today, so that hopefully will help the situation. But right now, timing the snows into the Lexington area, roughly 8 to 10 a.m. tomorrow morning, give or take an hour on that. We'll have more specific timing coming up tonight at 11.
This is good. Jeffrey says it's been a warm winter. How are ground temperatures going to affect the accumulations of snow?
Yeah, what's happening now, we're below freezing, and through tonight we're going to be well below freezing. So by the time the snow gets in here, that top layer of the soil is kind of frozen already. So it shouldn't have a big impact on at least the ground, the grass, and stuff like that. Roads, they've pre-treated that, so it'll help.
Holly says, I love how excited Chris gets about the snow. It's not a question, but we thank you for that.
Yeah, Holly, I get a little fired up over snow. And I love the seasons. If it's wintertime, might as well snow.
And real quickly, Kenny, are we expecting any ice? That's a good question.
No ice with this one. None at all, although, that was my bold prediction for the winter forecast. But that's not going to be the case this go around. It's just going to be general light snowfall over the day tomorrow. in the overall scheme of things, Sam, this is not a big snow.
Right.
It's a couple of inches across
people get
most
excited
areas.
about it.
People get excited. It's coming a little late this year. It's been, about 2 weeks too late compared to the normal to get that first inch or two of snow. Winter weather advisory is out for the entire regions. And by the way, Facebook folks, thank you for all the great questions. I know we had probably more than you could get to, right, Sam? Maybe we'll fire up a Facebook Live again coming up later tonight for you guys as we get a little closer to the snows moving in. So to kind of answer some of those questions on what we're looking at potentially here, this is a general 1 to 3 inch snowfall. Little pockets of 3 or 4 inches will try to show up here along Interstate 64, northeastern Kentucky, maybe into the Bluegrass region as well, then far southeastern Kentucky. The farther south and southwest that you get, I can see those totals coming down just a little bit. But here's what we always talk about. And people have a tendency to look at the numbers here and always go toward the highest number. But notice there's a range there. You could come in on that low end, so an inch or two for most areas with the potential for upwards of 3 or 4 into central and eastern Kentucky. So we look at the overall snowfall trends. The bare minimum right now for most areas would be a ½ inch. That's if all goes completely wrong and you want a big snow. If everything just worked out beautifully, perfectly for a bigger snow, this still wouldn't be a huge storm at 4 or 5 inches. Most of us will fall into that 1 to 4 inch range. No matter if you get an inch or a ½ inch or 3 or 4 inches of snow, it's going to have an impact on the roads tomorrow, especially into the afternoon and evening. And that's going to impact some schools, maybe some early dismissal times, cancellations maybe on Friday. Where's the snow now? Defender Radar Network, nothing across Kentucky. We go back to the northwest. Here's that streak of snow that is working its way on in quickly from northwest to southeast. And I'm looking at some of the very short-range computer models, trying to time that in here, and they're a little ahead of schedule in trying to get that into parts of central Kentucky right around daybreak compared to the other models that we've been showing you over the past few hours. So we'll keep an eye on that. That's a streak of snow that is aimed. It almost looks like it is just pointing the way right toward Kentucky. Look at the leading edge of the clouds, and then that snow band shows up here into parts of Missouri, Iowa, and back into Nebraska. So it's a general 1 to 3 inch snowfall tomorrow and tomorrow night. Slick roads will develop. Friday, still some light snow and some flurries around. It's Arctic cold, and it is really going to hang tough through the weekend. Bitterly cold by Saturday. Those lows on Saturday morning deep into the single digits with a wind chill that can go below 0. Southeastern Kentucky on Saturday, you still can get brushed by a little bit of light snow. Timing that snow in. So on Facebook, we had someone in northern Kentucky say, hey, what time we're going to get it here? Well, this shows it coming in before daybreak, and then watch what happens. You see that snow band extend and that little burst of some moderate snow showing up in the blue. So that's why we try to highlight I-64 with a little bit of some heavier snows as that sinks its way on toward the south. Southern, southeastern parts of the area, you're going to get in to the snow later into the day, and in some cases much, much later. Tomorrow evening, temperatures in the 20s, snowing into most areas. That'll wind down. We'll get one more little shot of some light snows, roughly midnight-ish, and then from there, it's just cold. Some flurries will fly around on Friday. Good evening on Friday evening, just to maybe stay inside, throw another log on the fire. Temperatures into the teens, and as we go into Saturday morning, check that out. Some single digits that will show up into parts of the region. Clear skies, yeah, those numbers are going to really drop off into the coming weekend. And it's not a big snow, Sam, coming up tomorrow and tomorrow night, but it's the first of the season. It's, magical for a lot of folks, I guess, and we'll get that into town as we go through the day tomorrow. Buzz is not a magical person.
Buzz is being a Grinch.
He's being the heat miser. He's being the heat miser over there.
We had so many questions we couldn't get to.
Yeah.
So thank you all for...
Maybe we'll do that again tonight.
All right.
That's certainly not going to help things. I'm going to bring in Sean Moody now, who's been with me all afternoon. Sean, can you tell us some of the businesses?
I want to give you an update. Yeah, we've got a list of the status of some of the attractions here. Of course, Gatlinburg, Pigeon Forge, you just have countless number of attractions. And I'm just going to go down this list. There are a lot of them. This is what we know. The Alamo Steakhouse destroyed. This is alphabetical, by the way. The Arrowmont School of Arts and Crafts, all buildings except Hughes Hall and Wild Wing survived with little damage. Black Bear Falls, There's some conflicting information on that one. It looks like emergency management is still trying to figure that one out. Buckberry Lodge says they're currently assessing the situation, but right now not taking reservations.
Oh, so Sean, somebody instead of Hollywood, I guess it was just
Dollywood.
a typo. They're referring to Dollywood.
Yeah.
So what do we know anything about Dollywood?
Dollywood, several cabins damaged or destroyed. Of course, Dollywood, you've got the theme park and everything like that too. So we don't know any information about the theme park, but Dollywood Park has some wind damage, it says, but no damage from the fire itself.
Hello, Facebook. Welcome to this Facebook Live Winter Weather Edition. I'm Chief Meteorologist Chris Bailey. My buddy meteorologist Jim Caldwell joining me now.
Sounds like you almost reluctantly said that.
I did. I did.
You want to pull the buddy out of that.
Yeah. I had to kind of fake it there for a little bit. Did you notice?
I noticed that. I hope you did too.
You know what? Earlier tonight, Jim, at 6 o'clock, we debuted the winter weather forecast, and we thought we would kind of go a little deeper into the winter weather forecast on Facebook Live. You know, because during the forecast, I only get a couple of minutes.
Yeah, there's a time limit.
I got to zip through it all. I'm wordy. I can barely say my name in 2 minutes.
We know. I mean, we've got commercials, we've got other news to get to, so it's hard.
We've got to pay the bills.
But right here, it's wide open.
It is. That's scary, though, right?
Oh, it really is. Let's make it go all night.
So what we're going to do, we're going to talk a little bit of, in depth about what we've looked at. Jim's going to ask me some questions. This may lead to his own talk show. This is a big night for Caldwell here.
While we are tracking severe weather here tonight, our WKYT First Alert Weather Team is hosting a severe weather training class tonight.
And that class begins at 7 tonight at the Kentucky Theater. Our meteorologist Jim Caldwell is there now, and he joins us live. Jim, what kind of topics will you be going over tonight?
You know, we're going to talk about some of the things that people might be seeing out there tonight, Sam. Some of the issues that we might run into with certain elements, large hail, how to get images to us, how to get reports to us, and how to do it very quickly and very safely for yourself as well. So we're going to cover a whole wide range of odds and ends when it comes to how to get the information to us here at WKYT. You can still come. We're just inside here as the rain kind of pushed us in a little bit, but you can still come. We start everything off at 7 o'clock. The movie, because we're still showing movie Twister tonight as well, free of charge. I mean, it cost us some money, but it didn't cost you anything. And that comes off at 7:30 here tonight. And not only are you going to find the movie, when you walk in, there's one of the cool tornado machines that they have set up from the National Weather Service. One of our partners, National Weather Service, is here. And we've got Bruce Thomas from Midland Weather Radios. He's going to be giving away free weather radios here tonight, little door prizes as well. So you would have the option maybe to get in on one of those before we get into the main theater and check out the show here tonight. So in show business, they say the show must go on, and we are going to keep it going here tonight at the Kentucky Theater. Live downtown Lexington, I'm WKYT meteorologist Jim and Micah Harris Caldwell.
Thanks, guys. Don't want to get it mixed up there.
Yeah, just be careful if you are going out tonight.
That's
Well,
right.
speaking of tonight, the WKYT Weather Watchers hosted a special event at the Kentucky Theater. Current and new weather watchers were invited for a free showing of the movie Twister. They also heard from our meteorologists, National Weather Service staff, and representatives from Midland Weather Radio.
We've already been at the class once, but you can never learn too many things about weather, and just being with all the WKYT family crew and seeing Twister.
This year marks the 20th anniversary of the movie Twister being released.
Here to help us break down the debate are Crystal Ball and Trey Watson. Crystal is a Democratic strategist here in Kentucky. She's a former MSNBC news anchor and currently contributes to the Huffington Post and Glamour magazine. Trey's the communications director for the Republican Party of Kentucky. He's also been a campaign manager for various statewide races. Thank you both for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Crystal, I'll start with you. One day later, what is the big story on this day after the debate?
I think the big story is that you got to prepare to be president of the United States. I mean, that was the clear difference last night. You could tell Hillary Clinton knew what her plans are. She actually has plans, unlike Donald Trump in some cases. And she came to the debate with a strategy that enabled her to really take control of the debate and put him on his heels. And so that's why I think you see today most of the focus groups, most of the polls come out and say that Hillary Clinton won overwhelmingly. And you can even tell in Donald Trump's demeanor. I mean, he's out today trying to blame the moderator and say the whole thing was very unfair and he had a bum microphone, which you usually don't do when you won.
Is the bum microphone the explanation for the sniffle, Trey? We had a lot of debate about the Trump sniffle last night. So what is your takeaway from this on the day after? Because a lot of the analysts said that Hillary Clinton seemed to be the winner, but that Trump came out strong early on.
You know, I think Donald Trump, he came out with a purpose and was speaking to a specific set of voters, and those are voters in swing states, especially in the Rust Belt, Middle America. You have a lot of blue-collar workers who normally vote Democrat, who I think Donald Trump really speaks to, and the whole goal for the next 40-odd days from here on out for Donald Trump is to try to bring those people to his side and convince them of the message that the system is broken, the system's rigged. Hillary Clinton's had 30 years to fix it, and she's not the right person for the job, and that he is.
Politics and sports. Dave Buzz Baker brings those two together. How? I don't know, but we're about to find out. All right, fasten your seatbelt, folks. Time now for the Sports Buzz. Each night, we talk with Dave Buzz Baker for an inside look at what's going on.
How about this?
This is not
Oh, come on.
Dave Baker.
Come on. It does not get any better than this. Sam, sports and politics, okay?
Yeah. How do
they
this?
melt? Okay, so we'll ask. Let's go right to the video now. Okay. Great sports figures that are politicians as well. Yes.
Okay.
Jim Bunning. Jim Bunning. No hitters in both leagues. Member of the Baseball Hall of Fame. He was known for being a hard-nosed pitcher. He was a hard-nosed politician.
He absolutely was. Hall of Famer, as you said. And, yes, when he got to Washington, they knew that he came to play ball.
Oh, very nice analogy there. All right, how about Senator Bill Bradley? Just slightly before your time, he led Princeton to the Final Four. He was a member of the United States Olympic team, and he played for the championship Knicks. But he was a guy who was involved in presidential politics as a senator from New York.
Correct. Also ran for president. Unsuccessful.
New Jersey. New Jersey. Right. We can all do better. That was the book that he did. All right. And how about Jack Kemp? Okay, now Jack Kemp led the old Buffalo Bills to the AFL championship in like 63-64. Now, you know what he did that was unusual? He did not throw with the seams of the ball. He put his hands on the ball off the seams. But he was also a member of HUD, and he was a vice presidential candidate with Bob Dole.
Bob Dole, 96, right, and he was a member of Congress before all of that, yeah.
What did he call himself? A bleeding heart conservative.
Oh, okay, right.
By the way, the news director just looked around the corner and couldn't believe what we were talking about.
He was the one that wanted me to do this. I just follow instructions.
Just letting you know.
How about Dwight David Eisenhower, Supreme Allied Commander?
Golfer, right?
That's exactly right. He was responsible, Bill, for the golf boom in the United States. He didn't play until he was 35 years old, and he absolutely loved the game. He had a putting green installed at the White House. They've got all sorts of things named for him at Augusta National, but he and Arnold Palmer brought golf to the masses as a two-term president, and really was an important president at an important time in our country.
Oh, very much so.
All right, and finally, Bill's favorite.
Here we go.
In politics, Jesse the Body Ventura. Professional wrestler. He was the governor of the state of Minnesota, and nobody besides Jesse and Bill Bryant can rock a pair of tights like that.
It's time now for the Sports Buzz. Each night, we will talk with Dave Buzz Baker for an inside look at what is going on. Okay, I remember the first week of the high school football season, we had some, I believe, tape of what looked like a fight or a problem out on the field between two high school teams in Lexington. I remember that.
Dunbar and Lafayette, it was a game over at Scott County, and you see a hard tackle on the Dunbar sideline. You see all the kids from Lafayette going across. For whatever reason, the KHSA finally issued their ruling yesterday. They warned both schools, and they accepted the self-imposed penalty that Lafayette had put against its coach and against the player. Bottom line on this, you know, whether you agree with the penalties or not, you see a helmet flying up in the air there. I don't understand why it took 4 or 5 weeks to do it, and then the Fayette County schools say that because it's a personnel issue, they can't really say what was done. Nobody's looking to hang anybody out to dry or anything, you know, but you want that openness and everything, and, you know, I think when something publicly happens like this, you know, you talk about it publicly. I don't know.
And this kind of thing rarely happens.
Rarely happens. No.
Yeah.
And both the coaches and everything have been good. But you know, keep that openness. I mean, as the old saying goes, happen out in front of everybody. Okay. Here's another one. Speaking of high school, you know they do everything big in Texas. This is Allen High School. They built a $60 million stadium, Sam. And so guess what? Their neighbors at McKinney High School, they got mad. These are their renderings for their $70 million stadium that they are building.
You told me about this before we came out here. I could not believe it. $60 million and $70 million for a high school stadium, and then you get to see it. This is the first time I've seen them. Looks like a college program.
I mean, it's unbelievable. There's a stadium in Katy, Texas, outside of Houston, which produced Jeff Brasso. They built one for $62.5 million. When does this end? What could a school district do with $70 million instead of a stadium?
They will top it in Texas.
They probably will.